Hey everybody, thanks for tuning into today's video. We're going to do 3 monthly update today, having a look at the next 3 months from the Japanese market. It takes us from April through to June. It updated last week, and of course I've been a bit poorly over the last few days, so haven't been doing the updates. So I'm a bit late with this actually. But we'll have a look at the Northern Hemisphere view from the JMA first of all. Then have a look at the latitude view to see how things are shaping up in terms of temperature precipitation for the next 3 months. Now, before I get on with that, just to say about the ads, there's links to articles on most of the pages at gasweb.com. The widget sits just underneath the weather video here on the home page. Please have a browse through that widget. If there's any articles that you're interested in, I'd like to click through. The more you click, the more GasWeatherVids earns, and by doing that, you're helping to pay for the website you allow me to sit here and talk to you via GasWeatherVids. So thanks for getting involved. Thanks for doing that. Still a bit rough with the cough and everything else, so may need to stop and have a bit of a break. Hope you bear with me. Right, let's get on with the update. And I say we're going to start off with the Northern Hemisphere view first of all for the next 3 months. So these are 500 millibar height anomalies, and the main thing is that the British Isles is sitting just there. So what we see for April, this is for April first of all, is that I've got a trough of low pressure. By the way, troughs are extrapolated to blue colours, ridges to yellow and orange colours. So I've got a trough of low pressure across the northeast of America, with jet stream going something like that. It's a little bit uncertain quite what's happening as we go through into Europe. We've got a trough of low pressure, but not a deep trough around Greenland and Iceland, and possibly some sort of a ridge just here to the southwest. It's a bit of a tricky one to work out, that one. I think overall it's a westerly month, and probably most unsettled in the north and the west, less so in the south and the southeast, where we could be closer to a little bit of a ridge. Now, as we go through into May, there is a deterioration, I'm afraid. We get the trough of low pressure still in there across the northeast of the state, but it's also digging through down into Europe as well, through British Isles and into Europe like that. So the jet stream is going something like that around that trough and the ridges. So we're on the cool side of a jet there for May, and we're under a bit of a trough of wet as well, so it's likely to be pretty cool and pretty unsettled for May on that sort of setup. And then moving through into June, there's a further deterioration. Look at this, we get a deep trough of low pressure sitting just to the south and the southeast of the country, a ridge through the central part of the Atlantic, but that's not really much use with the position of this trough, and then ridging up towards the northeast of Scandinavia, and again, deep trough still in across the eastern side of America. So the flow with that one is going like that. That is a very poor looking signal for June, I'm afraid. Would be very cool month, very unsettled month, and probably wettest actually down in the south and the southeast, close to that area of low pressure. That would be a very, very disappointing June, I think, if that came off. Let's see how the temperature and precipitation forecasts are stacking up with this. So we start off with April. Remember, for April, looking at something of a westerly month, really. So the temperature anomaly is coming out just a little bit below average. It's near north of Scotland, a little bit below average for England and Wales, but overall not particularly warm. The mean wind flow for April looks like this. Not sure if you can quite make out the arrows just here, but it's more or less westerly coming in across the British Isles. So a bit of a westerly month, cool and average temperatures, and in terms of the precipitation anomaly, as I expected, it's a little bit wetter than average in the north and the west. It's a little bit drier down in the south-southeast. But overall, quite an unsettled month being signalled there for April. Not the greatest start to the coming 3 months by any means. So as we move through into May, what we find happening into May is that, again, we've got cooler than average temperatures coming through, a significantly cooler than average month. Remember, for May, we're digging the trough through the west of Europe and insect parts of Europe, and of course on a southerly jet stream as well. We've got some southerly jet streams, so on the cold side of the jet, significantly cooler than average month coming up for May, if that one is correct. The mean Wind flow for May, again, not sure you can quite make this out, but generally it's coming from a northwesterly type direction. And then as we go through into the precipitation, well, we've got a trough stuck over the top of the country, so a wetter than average month is being signalled here as well. So cool and wet for May, not a great month indeed. And then finally going through into June, and remember I thought June was probably the worst of it actually, in terms of these height anomalies. June looked like it was the worst of it, with the trough of low pressure sitting just to the south and southeast. You can see it quite clearly on this chart. Blue colour is just south-southeast of the country, ridge out in the Atlantic. That is a pretty poor pattern indeed. So for June, very cool temperatures being signalled, really does go into a cool phase indeed through May and June. Proper cool couple of months coming up there on that one. The mean wind flow goes northerly to northeasterly into June, so that's not very good. Down in the southeast, that will probably drag in a lot of low cloud and mist off the North Sea. Of course, a northeasterly wind in June, not going to be great. And the precipitation anomaly, it's a little bit drier for the north, but it's wetter than average down in the south. And of course, that's because we're close to that trough of low pressure. So April looks not great, but not terrible. Sort of typical spring type conditions, I think, probably for April, maybe a little bit on the cool side, but most of us end up in the northwest. But generally, it's Atlantic driven sort of month, probably not far from what you'd expect in April. But for May and June, we've got a signal here for a really poor couple of months, with both months coming out significantly cooler than average and also wetter than average conditions as well, both cool and unsettled. Just want to throw this in. This is the Russian model, and this again is for the next 3 months, going from April to June. These are probability maps. Blue is extrapolated to where we've got greater probability of below average temperatures, and red is where we've got greater probability of above average temperatures. We see that the temperature probability for April to June for us is around or a little bit below average. So certainly no signal there of having a warmer than average period. If anything, the probability is looking pretty disappointing there for April to June with the Russian model. Either sort of near normal probability, temperature probability, or below average temperature probability. And in terms of the precipitation forecast, well, there's no real signal actually for precipitation. We're in those white colours, so I think overall we're probably looking at sort of near normal signal there, or maybe climatology, but no signal for a particularly wet period, no signal for a particularly dry period either. But the temperatures on the Russian model are quite excuse me, are quite disappointing. So, well, not a great update from the Japanese model, obviously, for the coming 3 months. It has to be said that all long-range forecasting and modelling is very experimental, so don't take it too seriously. But April, sort of looking average type conditions, westerly month, most are settling in the northwest, driest in the south-southeast. Temperature's been on the cool side, but nothing too bad for April. But May, June, that couple of months on the JMA really does look very poor indeed on this month's update. So if you want a nice early start to the summer, you better hope the JMA is wrong. That's it for now, and thanks very much for watching. 5-day forecast, virus has come back for that. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.